Welcome back to Coffee and Conversation. And I have a little surprise for you. That was scary, was it? It's all right, it's all right, it's all right. That was scary. Baby bunny. I have 5 of these. Yes, I do. All right. I'm going to put him away now. Actually, I don't know if he is a he or she. 5 of them, they were saved from a bunny nest that my landscaper found in the yard, 50 feet away from Audie's favorite hangout spot, no mother in sight. Bad idea, very, very bad idea to separate babies from their mother. I would never have done this if the litter hadn't been at risk. And unfortunately, it's at risk from my own bad boy. I have no idea how Audie was going to react to these baby bunnies. I know now that I've got them in the house, I know how he's reacting. And certainly I had every reason in the world to believe that if that mother bunny came back, Audie was going to make dinner of her. So, mother is gone, I have the babies, and Audie, who absolutely would have gone rabbit hunting. Can you hear that? That is my cat complaining because I'm tattling on him. Absolutely would have gone rabbit hunting if I had left baby bunnies for him. But in fact, they're in the house now. I know. I hear you. They all hear you. I just want you to know that. Audie is now hunting for a little brother or sister. Audie would like a pet. He used to have a dog. The dog passed away. He doesn't know that. That was my bad, okay? Bad cat mommy. I didn't realize that he's an animal. Well, I mean, I know he's an animal on some level. I really do recognize that fact. But I thought to myself when the dog passed away, if this had been a child, I would never let a small child see a dead animal. That just seems crazy to me. Audie should have seen the dog. Audie should have had the opportunity to examine the dog, realize the dog had passed on and was not coming home. That was 100% on me. I didn't know any better. I do now. But, yeah. Honey, they know. I'm telling them the truth, okay? He's at my feet screaming. He would like to keep the bunnies. He would like them as pets. He has taken, over the past couple of years since the dog's been gone, he has taken to bringing me home little animals. Just live. Well, unharmed, and Audie could harm them if he wanted to. So when he brings them home uninjured, I know that's intentional on his part. So why does he do it? Because he wants to keep them as pets. He wants a companion. I know, they know. I just told them. He wants a companion, and he would like to keep these bunnies. Okay, come here. Come on up. They can see you. Come here. Say hello. So yes, he's excited to have baby bunnies because he thinks he's going to get to keep them. He is not. He absolutely is not. Right now, he's very enchanted by them because they're baby bunnies and they're adorable and they give off that baby pheromone that makes him feel a need to protect them. But they're going to get a little bigger, and in a few weeks that's not going to happen. And they are going to give off a pheromone that says, I can be lunch. So no, as soon as they are old enough to fend for themselves, they are going to be released. And as I say, this is nothing, although frankly I've done this before with at-risk litters. This is nothing you should undertake lightly. I am feeding these babies kitten formula with an eyedropper because my little baby bunny bottles, they don't have a long shelf life because the nipples are rubber and then rubber degrades very quickly. So I have to go out Monday and get some bottles. It will make my life a lot easier. But for now, I'm feeding them with an eyedropper and with some syringes, minus the needle, that I got from my pharmacy. They were very sympathetic to my issue. So that's what's going on here. Audie, as you can see, is, well, he's being a very good boy because he's hoping to persuade me to give him baby bunnies as pets. It's not working. I love you, but it's not working. All right, that is the Audie news, the baby bunny news, and we're going to take a quick break for the intro, and we will be right back. Here, say goodbye. Oh, okay. You got to be here. All right, you can stay. I love you too. So I spent some time today digging around in my shoeboxes. And there was a method to the madness. First of all, I knew I wasn't going to film this video until relatively late in the evening. It's about 8:30 now. And the reason for that is baby bunnies are crepuscular. Isn't that a wonderful word? It means they are most active in the dawn and dusk hours. So I wanted to be able to make sure you got a chance to see at least one of the babies. And the best time for that is when they're already awake, because I wake them up to feed them often enough. So I'm going to try to minimize that. So I had to amuse myself during the day, and I was looking at my shoes, and also I have been looking around at the general shoe advice that is available through the media, on the internet, etc., and just trying to figure out what is a reasonable number of shoes to have. Because I did a count on my own shoes today and came up with 18 pair. Now, that to me sounds excessive. No two ways around it. That's a lot of shoes. So, given the fact, though, I do have to throw myself a bone in all of this. That is everything. That is my house shoes, the shoes I use in the yard when I go out to pull weeds, the sneakers I walk on the streets with, my winter boots, my snow boots, which are different from my winter boots. It's like everything I own that goes on my feet, 18 pair. It is definitely down from the 30-odd pair I had when I went through a shoe purge a couple of years ago. I made a video about that. Yeah, I may not even bother to link it because it's embarrassing to me. Because, yeah, that was it. It's embarrassing. I'm sorry. It really is. And I was hoping to get the shoes down to a reasonable number. So I started looking at things like, what's the advice people give you for the minimum number of shoes you ought to have? Kardashians, Imelda Marcos, the maximum number is atmospheric. But what is the minimum number of shoes a woman should have? And I synthesized a list from all of these various sources, and these are everything from fashion bloggers to YouTube personalities, etc. And I thought I would share it with you because I'm sure I'm not the only one who's looking at their shoes saying, is this okay? Do I have enough shoes? Do I have too many shoes? And it can be very hard for us to assess that. Although one thing I will tell you is the amount of shoes you need is the amount of shoes you need. Some of us might be perfectly well off with 4 pair of shoes, or fewer. It's hard for me to wrap my head around fewer, frankly, but yeah, some of us do not need all of the shoes in the world. I can remember when I was a child In elementary school, I have my school shoes, I have my play shoes, I have my church shoes. That was it. 3 pair of shoes. Now, that's not because my parents couldn't afford to get me shoes. It is simply because that was the way it was in those days. And of course, my parents, as I am a baby boomer, had just come out of the war rationing when 3 pair of shoes for a child was a luxury. So also, kids outgrow their shoes in 6 to 8 months, a year, whatever. So that was a very reasonable amount of shoes. And then later, as I got older, I would have work shoes, and I would have dress shoes, and I would have around the house shoes, and it started expanding until it eventually hit the 30-some shoes that I dumped. I donated virtually all of them about 3 years ago and just started again from scratch because I had more shoes than I needed, but not as many shoes as I needed. And let me explain that. The shoes I had were not meeting my needs. Yes, I had far too many shoes, but no, I did not have shoes that were doing the job I needed them to do. So 30 pair of shoes, and you know what I was wearing day in, day out, pretty much every day? Sneakers. That was it. I would get up in the morning, I would get dressed to go out for my walk, I would put on my walking shoes, and for me, they were sneakers, or for our UK friends, trainers. But that's what I would put on, and that's pretty much what would stay on my feet until the end of the day. So yeah, and I look back on that, and I see that as a bit of a problem, that I would get up in the morning, throw on sweatpants and sneakers, and say, oh, I'm done for the day. Part of that was what I think is probably a very normal reaction to retirement. I no longer had to get dressed in a certain way. I could dress for comfort now, and boy, I took full advantage of that. Then I started rebuilding a shoe collection based on what I needed, what would work for me. And the truth is, I think I might have gone a little overboard. I think I could easily cut back on those 18 pair. Not necessarily straight across the board, but there are a couple of categories I could probably shave down a little. So let me share with you what I learned from all of these fashion sources about how many shoes one needs minimally. And let's start with the minimal number, generally speaking. Now there's variation. Different bloggers will give you different numbers, but I think the consensus would seem to be that a minimum number of shoes in your wardrobe for a female adult. And we're talking in the Western world, not just the US, is about 6 pair. So let's go over what those 6 pair should be. Across the board, everyone suggests a pair of loafers. And that is a really, really sensible suggestion. I personally have 4 pair of loafers. I consider that excessive. And I'm going to back off and defend myself because I didn't just go off on a mad loafer quest. I believe that Edith Head was correct when she said your shoes and socks should match your trousers because that gives you a taller, slimmer silhouette. So yeah, I made sure I have loafers that went with just about all the trousers in my closet. And I was able to consolidate that into 4 pair, which I think is very good. Could I cut that down? Oh yeah, I could probably cut that in half. I could probably be perfectly fine with 2 pair of loafers. But am I going to? No, that's a topic for another video. Maybe I will try to shave a few off that 18 pair, but that's not what we're talking about now. What we're talking about now is the minimum number of shoes most people consider appropriate for adult women. So, why loafers? Why are they number one? Because they bridge the gap between casual and dressy. These days, young people are dressing their loafers up quite a bit and simultaneously dressing them down. So they will be wearing loafers with fancy dresses and ankle socks, which is kind of weird. Although I do remember a time back in, was it the 80s? 70s or 80s. If I had to guess, I would say probably 70s, when the fashion was stiletto pumps with little frilly ankle socks. That was a brief trend, but yeah, it was out there. So are we back to that? No, I don't think this is a passing trend. I think this is a move the young people are making in favor of comfort, and bless their hearts for that. So loafers, yeah, because they're versatile. A pair of loafers is perfectly appropriate in a business setting for a woman. In fact, I think it's probably perfectly appropriate in all but the most formal business settings for a man as well. Unless you work at a straight-laced banking house, you can certainly wear loafers with your business suit. So it can go from that business suit look right down to jeans very, very comfortably. So I have to agree with that. I have to give them that one. Next on almost everybody's list is a pair of sneakers. So, and here's where I'm pleased because I am right in line with where I'm supposed to be. I have one pair of sneakers in use, and I have one pair of sneakers in reserve. I always do this with my sneakers because I go out walking and I could damage my sneakers at any time, and if I don't have a backup pair, well, tomorrow morning's walk is down the drain. So I always need to stay a pair ahead, and one is in my working wardrobe, the other is in a box in the closet waiting to be pressed into service. Sneakers, yes. Sneakers are wonderful. You really can pair them with everything from jeans to casual skirts to shorts. You can. I don't favor that because I'm trying to get out of that wearing my sneakers all the time mindset. But I've seen it done. It's perfectly acceptable. Your sneakers should be comfortable and they should do the job they are intended to do. I tend to get walking sneakers rather than running sneakers. They're built differently. And I tend to get better brands. Now, the two pair of sneakers I currently have in my wardrobe, the ones that are currently in use, are Asics. It's a better brand. These were $45. The ones in my closet are New Balance. They are an even pricier brand, $47 I got them for. You do not have to spend a lot of money on sneakers, especially if you're not style picky, and I am not. I'm looking for functionality and functionality alone. So I can wait 3 or 4 months until those $200 New Balance sneakers go on sale for $47 because the newest line has come out. And then bang, they're mine. They're in my closet. Because remember, totally functional doesn't matter if my sneakers are last year's style or the style from the year before. Absolutely not. Not even close. Because I'm just looking for good walking shoes. And keep in mind that even if you don't walk for exercise, if you don't work out, if you just find yourself walking somewhere, anywhere, not for exercise, but to get from point A to point B, go on a little vacation, you want to walk around the beach town, oh, you want sneakers. You really do. And by the way, it's not just the beach town. You know, you want to go to Paris, you want to walk the streets, get yourself a good pair of sneakers. That's something that will always stand you in good stead. So I have to say, I agree absolutely with the fashionistas. Next up, sandals. Now, sandals are not in my wardrobe. They used to be, they're not anymore. That is an issue of the diabetes. Also, just to be fair, as I get older, I do get more concerned about whether or not my shoes are fully encasing my feet just to avoid accidents. Because you hit a certain point in life and, you know, an injury to your feet can be very serious. So, am I running around in flip-flops and sandals anymore? No, I am not. Do I wish I were? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So I'm not arguing with anybody who says you need a pair of sandals. Now, there are a lot of different kinds of sandals available out there. You can come up with anything from like Birkenstocks to other kinds of very casual sandals, the sorts of sandals that are appropriate to be worn with shorts, with jeans, right up to super fancy, dressy sandals that are appropriate for a night on the town. So sandals, yeah, I think there's a place in everyone's wardrobe for a pair of sandals. And it all depends on who you are and what your life is. If you are, what was her name? Alicia Bridges. You know, I love the nightlife. Oh gosh, you got to be my age to remember that. Well, if you are Alicia Bridges, you are going to want those high-heeled, strappy sandals. But if you have a more laid-back lifestyle, yeah, you're probably going to want the Birkenstocks. But is there room in your wardrobe for them? Yes. Maybe not the high-heeled fancy sandals if you're a Birkenstocks kind of gal. And again, maybe not the Birkenstocks if you're Alicia Bridges, but still, there's room for something along that spectrum in your wardrobe, especially in the summer. So, again, going along with this. Number 4, a pair of pumps. This is interesting. Should we have pumps in our wardrobe? I think probably yes. I would have to say, yeah, pretty much. Do I? No, I do not. Not a single pair of those 18 shoes are pumps. Not one. Because I don't wear dresses. And quite frankly, at my age, since I'm going to be wearing trousers anyway, I don't feel I ought to be tempting fate by walking around in a pair of very high heels. A lot of us do not. But keep in mind that even if you're not into the pointy-toed stilettos, there are other options. The most comfortable options are going to be slingback kitten heels. Quite frankly, that's probably the most comfortable option. Is there room in my wardrobe for that? Yes, but I'm not going out of my way to get a pair. Not anytime soon. Is there room in your wardrobe? Probably. Whether or not you are going to side with me and say, no, Sue, we don't need that. It's a different matter. But if you do go out in the evenings, if you do go to a lot of weddings, if you are one of those people who has a lot of friends getting married, if you have a lot of friends who have children getting married, if that is very much your lifestyle, yeah, there's probably room for a pair of pumps. And of course, there are a variety of styles. I favor the kitten heel slingbacks. And by the way, I did, even back in the 80s when I was assembling my working wardrobe, that's pretty much the extent of the high heels I was wearing. I was never much into those pointed-toed spiked heels, mostly because I was a child of the 60s, and we just oh, we were so disdainful of them. I never quite acquired a fondness for them, even when they came back into style. If you're only going to have one pair of heels, my suggestion would be go for a pair in nude. A pair of nude shoes will go with anything. Why? Because it's not matching your outfit, it's matching your skin color. So what is nude? Well, for me, I could go with pale pink. Absolutely. And it would still be pretty nude. I could probably go with off-white and it would still be nude. Michelle Obama? Not so much. But the fact is, Michelle Obama's nude heels are not going to look nude on me. My nude heels are not going to look nude on Michelle Obama. So just match your own skin tone and be very practical about it. But that's where you're going to get your most mileage. I know a lot of us, especially from my generation, we were raised to believe that if you had only one pair of dress pumps, it should be black. But you know what? We were wrong. And we're not often wrong. We generally do not have to give ground to the millennials. But on this, I think we do. Because I think they're right. I think they came up with something we probably should have come up with ourselves. Which is, remember Edith Head? Match your shoes and socks to your trousers for that one continuous color, that long, slim silhouette. Well, if you're not going to be wearing trousers, match your shoes to your legs. Why didn't we think of that? I have no idea. But yeah, that's probably a bit of advice we got straight from the millennials. Bless their little hearts. I'm glad they felt like sharing. So, do you have room in your wardrobe for a pair of pumps? Probably. I do. I should. But I'm not doing it. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not feeling the need right now. So, will I feel the need in years to come? Who knows? Maybe. Maybe. I change my mind about these things all the time, but for the moment, no. If I do end up getting a pair of pumps, absolutely, I will go with nude. I don't know if I will go with slingbacks, because that was basically kitten heel slingbacks. That was my go-to in the 80s. Slingbacks, I don't think so. I might go for a vintage style, and there are a lot of companies today that are making vintage style shoes. I think I might like to get like something that looks like it came out of the 1920s. Who knows? But what color will it be? It will be nude, or whatever color corresponds to this, which is probably going to be cream or maybe light pink. But yes, I probably should. And that was what our fourth pair. Next up, ballet flats. So, do we have room for ballet flats in our wardrobe? Yes. If you need a pair of shoes that can take you from very dressed down to very dressed up without a heel, so this is something other than our pumps, ballet flats. It's fabulous. I'm glad ballet flats are around and available. They are incredibly versatile. There is a huge range of price points and styles available, and they are wildly comfortable and wildly versatile. Is that something I would like to put in my wardrobe? Yeah, maybe. It's not what I have in my wardrobe. What I have in my wardrobe instead is a boatload of moccasins, which are very similar to ballet flats. They are sort of a cross between a loafer and a ballet flat, a comfortable loafer, so to speak. That's what fills that particular need in my wardrobe. The only real difference is the length of the band. On a pair of moccasins, the vamp comes up much higher. Ballet flats, it's much lower. I think essentially they're almost the same shoe, just a different name. So am I agonizing about whether or not I should get myself a pair of ballet flats? No, not really. The moccasins are doing a fine job for me. But would I be open to this? Yes, absolutely. That is definitely something I would be open to. And the final, because we've decided 6 our minimum, the final is a pair of boots. Now, I do not believe boots are necessary for style. I believe they are necessary for most of us for the practical purpose of functioning in a colder winter or even a colder spring or autumn. But do I think that as a style statement you must have a pair of boots? No. I think that's a matter of personal choice. And I think for some people, that pair of loafers is going to do just fine. I think for others, a pair of lace-up shoes, Derbies, Oxfords, something like that, is going to be just as valuable in their wardrobe as a pair of boots, particularly if you live in a warm climate. If you are in Florida, Arizona, Southern California, a pair of lace-up shoes that will not be covering your ankles, making you feel a little too hot, a little too confined, sure, why not? The simple fact is, because my own boots are lace-up, they seem to be a style rather based on a combat boot, to be perfectly candid. But if you sliced off the top, you would have a pair of lace-up shoes. So, do I feel boots are necessary? Only if you are in a climate that has harsher winters. You may, in fact, need more than one pair. Are you in Canada? You're probably going to need more than one pair. Are you in North Dakota? Well, if you're in North Dakota, you're probably going to need a lot more than one pair. That's probably when you might want 6 pair of boots alone. But yes, in some circumstances, you are going to need a pair of boots that come somewhat above your ankles to get you through the shoveled sidewalks and the shoveled streets, over the little bits of snow you might have to walk around on a city street. But is it going to get you through the vast tundras of North Dakota? Is it going to get you through the vast tundras of northern Canada? No. At that point, you are going to need some serious boots. But for most of us, yes, there is room in our wardrobe for a pair of boots. Now, I keep 2 pair of boots because I keep the boots that I wear around, the nicely shoveled sidewalks of downtown. But also, I have a pair of boots that I shove on, and usually, by the way, these boots will go out at the beginning of the winter and live outside on the patio for a month or 2, that I will use when I'm shoveling the walk. These are, Lord, they are ugly boots. They are strictly functional. So that's what we are all looking at in terms of our minimal shoe needs. We probably all need about 6 pair minimum. For some of us, we are going to pick and choose. For me, no. Sandals, no thank you. I'll take another pair of loafers if you don't mind. The ballet flats, again, not right now. The pumps, not right now. But another pair of loafers, because that is what my lifestyle is based on. For some of you, you're going to look at the loafers and say, I hate those things, can't stand them. I would really like another pair of pumps. Maybe it should be that black pair we were always taught we needed. But I thought I would share with you the general guideline. What do the fashion experts think a minimum shoe wardrobe should consist of? And I will tell you, I am off base on this. I'm definitely, it's very clear that I didn't base my own shoe shopping on this list. Am I okay with that? Yes. I think you should be too, as long as your shoes are working for you. For me, half the stuff on this list is probably never coming into my wardrobe from this point forward. Have those things been in my wardrobe in the past? Yeah, sure. No doubt about it. But going forward, will they meet my needs? Are they going to work with my lifestyle? Probably not. So remember, this is just a guideline. I thought I would share it with you because this is a guideline I am using to try to figure out where I go from here. In other words, what am I looking at in terms of, my own shoe needs? And the idea of whether or not I should really be keeping a team pair of shoes, that, again, as I said, that's a topic for another day. Maybe I am getting a little excessive, and maybe I ought to start thinking about this. Maybe as some of these shoes wear out. And my outdoor shoes, my house shoes, that's the point I'm hitting at with some of those. Yes, some of them are wearing out. Am I going to replace them? No, I don't think so. I really think that I'll be looking to sort of scale down, scale back a little. So that was a valuable exercise for me, just in terms of trying to see where I align with the norm. I thought maybe it would be valuable for you as well. But remember, it's all about your lifestyle. If you have a lifestyle for which these shoes would just not work, oh well, don't get them. If you live in a beach house in southern Florida and no one ever makes you go anywhere but the sandy beach, maybe your minimum 6 pair of shoes should be 5 pair of flip-flops and maybe a pair of sneakers if you're feeling dressy. Remember, it's all about you and your needs. Okay, very quickly before we go, here we go. A little baby bunny. Why? Because we've got them, and we might as well enjoy them while we have them. They are too precious for words. And yes, I think you can see why Audie would like to keep them as pets. But the answer is a resounding no. Oh, by the way, in case any of you are interested, they are all eating. Some of them are eating more aggressively than others. Some of them I kind of have to cajole them to get the food into their little bellies. But that's normal. As I said, taken in litters like this before, that's normal. Some of them are a little more mature and therefore a little better able to cope with feeding. I'm here. Eyedropper full of kitten formula, strange and new to them. Some of them, oh yeah, they're pretty good at it. Others require a little more cajoling. They're all doing well, though. All right, we are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. I hope to see you all tomorrow. And meanwhile, have a terrific day.